A few nights ago, our emergency plan was put into action. Our water heater failed spectacularly and was gushing water. We shut off water to the house and arranged for repairs. This happened at about 11 p.m. The repairs started at 9 the next day. I'd like to cover what we discovered. Immediately, we shut off the water to the house. We had done this before and had just made sure all tools were properly stored. If either of these wasn't the case, we would have had significant water damage. We had chosen to keep 1 gallon of water per person in our emergency supplies. Since it was a beautiful day and we had the luxury of simply visiting the neighbors if we needed more water, we decided not to be too strict with our consumption. By 10 a.m., we had used 2.5 gallons. Overall, I think our preparations were adequate, but there were a few items we hadn't considered. The first came at breakfast. I require caffeine to get my nervous system jump-started. Unlike most, my morning caffeine isn't a luxury. Luckily, the reservoir to the coffee machine was full. The second came right after. After cooking breakfast, we had no way to wash dishes. Technically, we could have, but we decided that we wouldn't use our water that way. Our third came right after that. Refilling a flushed toilet requires water. Now, let's cover our solutions. For my morning caffeine, I'm adding caffeine pills to my medication. For dishes, we opted to use disposable dishes for the day. And as for toilets, we did end up using some of our water. So we've decided to increase the amount of water we'll keep on hand. Repairs were completed by 6 p.m. We had 3/4 of a gallon left. As I mentioned earlier, I think our preparations were adequate, but just barely. I'm much more comfortable with the changes we've made. We've added 2 5-gallon water cubes. And we've decided to keep them filled because there's not always a ramp-up period. Sometimes emergencies just pop up. I highly recommend you run a test emergency exercise to test your own preparations before you're forced to use them in a situation where you have no control.